Hey, it's Brian from Be the Nice Kid. How did Be the Nice Kid start? Well, Halloween of 2010, I got a call about 1:30 in the morning, and it was a call from my parents, and my parents never call me that late. And I answered the phone, and it was my dad. And my dad said, Brian, your mom's having stomach pains. It's really bad, and I called the ambulance. We're going to bring her to the hospital. I said, all right, sounds good. And he said, well, hold on a second. I hear the doorbell. I think they might be here. I'm like, okay, sounds good. And all of a sudden I hear, Johnny, 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 are you okay? Johnny, are you okay? My dad had just had hip surgeries, third hip surgery, full hip replacement, left side. And he was on crutches at the top of the steps. And I didn't know what was going on. That's what I was told later on. And after hearing, Johnny, 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 are you okay? About 5 seconds later, I had someone on the phone that said, hello, is this their son? And I said, yeah, this is their son. He said, well, we have a bit of a situation. I found out this was the EMT. Your mom is having severe stomach pains, and your dad just fell down the stairs. I'm like, what? My dad is 6'5", 250, and he fell down 10 stairs onto a tile floor. Talk about the craziest night of my life, maybe the worst night of my life. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. And the EMT goes, I'll call you back in 20 minutes. I'm like, 20 minutes? What? I had to wait for 20 minutes to figure out what was going on. But in 20 minutes, he called me back. And he said, all right, we have both your parents. We called another ambulance. We are bringing your mom to the hospital, and we're bringing your dad in a separate ambulance to the hospital also. I'm like, okay, I'll meet you there. Sounds good. Now, if anything, my parents have always taught me positivity and looking for the good in things. So when I got there, they were right next to each other in separate hospital rooms. So I didn't have to walk very far to see both of them. My dad fell down the stairs and he had a bruise that was, it looked like a giant steak on his hip and his leg. And he was in pain, but the doctors said nothing happened, nothing broke. The hip still looked good. He got lucky. Went to my mom's room, and the doctors were doing tests and trying to figure things out for a while. And one doctor came in and said, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it looks like lymphoma. And my eyes got big, and I knew lymphoma was cancer, but I didn't really know what lymphoma was. And so they admitted her. They brought her to the hospital, stayed overnight, did some tests the next day, and confirmed my mom had lymphoma. Stage, I don't remember if it was stage 3, stage 4. It was tough. Throughout the whole thing, my mom was tough. She was positive. Things were going to happen. She was going to get through this thing. She started going through chemo. 7 months later, this chemo, it didn't work. It didn't work at all. And on May 24th, 2011, my mom died. And through all this stuff, I would just trying to think of what was happening, what was going on. I was talking with my mom a lot through all this stuff, which was one of the great things. We could talk all the time about stuff. And we'd tell stories, we'd laugh, we'd remember things that happened in the past, and these memories just came flooding back more and more and more. And the final weeks before she died, my aunts and uncles were talking, my dad was talking, my brother was talking, and we just had these great conversations about things that happened with mom, or these bad things or good things or whatever. They were just memories. And at the time, still now too, I teach golf. I'm a teacher. I'm a golf pro. But the thing was, I didn't really focus on golf. I couldn't think much about golf during this time. I was more focused on my mom. And I had written this email every week to all my golf students that was basically like, hey, come to a lesson. Hey, bring your son for free. Hey, we're doing a putting lesson this week. And I sent out these emails every week, just kind of promotion. This one week, I didn't want to send this out anymore. I didn't want to think about golf anymore. I didn't care. It didn't matter. My mom mattered. And so these memories were flooding back. And this email one week, instead of writing this promotional email, I wrote just a story. I wrote a story about my mom. My friends know it as peanut butter chocolate chip. And it was a dumb little story about shopping, but it was just something fun that I remembered and I needed to share. And maybe it was a selfish thing to share, but I thought, okay, instead of sending out this promotional email this week, I'm going to send out this story about my mom, because it's my way to grieve. It's my way to get through this stuff. The thing was, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if people cared. I didn't know if it mattered why I sent this thing out. But like I said, it was kind of selfish. It was kind of me. And so I sent it out. And within a few days, I had hundreds of responses, hundreds and hundreds of responses that just said, hey, Bryan, I'm thinking about you. Hey, Bryan, we're going through the same stuff right now with my mom. Or my dad just passed away. Or my cousin just got hurt. And it blew me away that other people were going through the same stuff I was going through. And I didn't think about it that way at the time. It was me. I'm the only one that's ever had a parent die. And I was just blown away. It made me happy just to hear from these people that, hey, I'm thinking about you, and hey, we're just like you. And I'm like, whoa. And these people kept asking throughout all these emails too. They said, we love this story. Can you tell me another story? Do one next week. Tell me another story. Give me another mom story. So I did. I just kept writing. I just kept writing stories and stories and stories. And some days I'd write 15 stories, and some days I'd write one. But I had all these stories about my mom, and each week I'd send out a mom story and a mom story and a mom story, and just memories and little tactics of, hey, even though there's bad stuff, you can find the good. The whole key to this thing is perspective. It's looking for the good, because there's always good in everything. It's just a matter of if you see it or not. And so I just kept writing these stories. 3 months after that first story, I wrote one to my golf students going back to school in the fall of 2011. And that story was called Be the Nice Kid. And all it was a letter. And there was this letter that said, hey, you know what? You're going back to school. Some stuff you're going to love. Some stuff you're not going to love. Some teachers, they're awesome. Some teachers, they're not great. Some lunches are really tasty. Some don't even look like lunch. But through everything, just be nice. Be the nice kid. If somebody drops something, pick it up for them. If somebody trips in the hallway, ask how they're doing. Look out for each other. Be the nice kid through everything. And there was this little quote in there that I didn't think about at the time. That might have seen somewhere now, maybe on schools or on posters, but some kids are smarter than you. Some kids have cooler clothes than you. You have your thing too. And through everything, just be the nice kid. Do the right thing. You've seen this quote over and over and over again. And it was in that letter. And I didn't think anything of it. Sent it out. And within a couple days, I put it on Facebook too. It had like 2,000 shares. I'm like, what? I had like a couple hundred people that were following me at the time. I'm like, this math doesn't even work out. How do 2,000 people share this if only 200 people have seen it? I don't get it. But it went crazy. And a lot of people messaged me after that too and said, hey, Bryan, this is great. This is great for the kids. This is awesome. Keep it going. I'm like, who are you? I don't even know. How did you get this thing? This was for my golf students. And I just put it on Facebook for them so they could see it too. But it kept going and kept going. And 6 months later, I'd post it again. And the same thing would happen. And then 6 months later, I'd post it again. And I kept writing stories throughout this whole time, more and more and more stories. And all these stories compiled into a book. And I sent out this book, or made this book, and the book did pretty well. And it was fun just writing more stories. But something kept happening with Be the Nice Kid. Something kept happening because now parents were asking me in my golf classes, they said, hey, can you come to our school? And will you talk about being the nice kid? I'm like, sure, what do you want me to talk about? They said, just keep telling stories. Keep doing what you've been doing. Tell stories to the kids. I'm like, okay. So I started going to a few schools here and there. And it happened for a few years. Fall of 2017, I kept getting more traction. And people were saying, hey, will you make t-shirts of this? Will you make a printout of that quote for me so I can hang it in my office, or I can put it in my classroom? I said, sure. And so one print was kind of the big leveling up of everything. I made this print, and a mom of one of the students, of a teacher, gave the teacher this print. And the teacher put it in his classroom and posted it on Instagram. Third grade swag. What's up, Fletcher? He put it on there, and a couple days later, another teacher grabbed it. What's up, Britt? Miss Fifth. And this thing exploded. It went everywhere. Classrooms that from all over the world. I was hearing from countries I've never even heard of. I didn't even know that was the name of a country. But people were emailing me. They were messaging me. My phone was blowing up. I'm like, I don't know how this happened. And I traced it back to those two. And it just kind of kept going and going and going. And throughout the whole thing, the message was find this perspective. Realize that you can be a kind kid, you can be a nice kid, and you can have other things you do too. You can be the kind basketball player, you can be the kind soccer player, you can be the kind person that plays in the band. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you do, it's inside. It's this kindness that comes out, and it's the feeling that you have when you look out for other people, because that's really the whole key to this thing. We're looking out for other people. That's what we're trying to do. And a few months later, it got posted again from a school in Canada. Tiffany, thank you very much. She painted on her school wall, and it went crazy again. And it's gone everywhere. We figured out 30 million people have seen this thing now, just from some words that I'm trying to give advice to kids. That's all it is. It started small, it's getting big. It's a simple concept, but you know what? It's important. It's important that we're kind to each other. It's important that we look out for each other. It's important that we look for the positive things, because there's craziness going on. There's tough stuff going on. But through everything, what we can do, we can be the nice kid. We can teach our kids this. We can be the nice adult. We can be the nice teacher. We can do anything we want to help other people out. We have to look for it. We have to do these small things. And we have to continue it on, because we have to lead by example. We're the ones that are showing other people how to do this. We can be leaders through kindness. Find that positivity. Keep looking out for other people. Do whatever you can do right now to be the nice kid, and we're going to make this thing go crazy, because we're not done yet. Before my mom died, she said, Bryan, we had a good run, didn't we? Mom, we're just getting started. See you soon.